everyone, we're back. I just want to say again to the folks who are watching us online, we're really sorry for the interruptions to the stream. We are looking into a fix. If you are able to keep the stream going rather than leaving and coming back, that should keep the stream going for you at home. Appreciate that not everyone might be able to do that, but we are looking into it. Sorry about that. Also, all of the talks are being recorded, so anything you do miss, you can catch again for the next few days on our Twitch channel, and they'll be uploaded to Ukie's YouTube channel. So, sorry, we appreciate you do want to watch them all live, and we're looking into it. But without further ado, I will stop talking, and I will hand you over to the lovely Hollie Newsham from Lucid Games.
Shall I go ahead? Should we? Okay. Hello, my name is Hollie Newsham, and I'm a lead animator. I work for a game studio based in Liverpool called Lucid Games, and I've been there for almost 8 years now. I thought that I'd also introduce you to my cat, Xena, and my dog, Luna, just because, well, look at them. So today I wanted to talk about some of the lessons I've learned so far. I'll give a little intro into what animation in games is and the kind of animator that I am, the games I've worked on and the different kinds of projects that you might expect working at a game studio, the job application process, and some general advice I wish someone had said to me when I was first starting out. So let's begin with what game animation is. Typically, there are 3 different categories of animators in games: gameplay, cinematic, and technical. There's plenty of nuances between these roles, but this is a good way to differentiate. Gameplay animators use a combination of keyframe and motion capture data to create animations that serve gameplay. This involves working alongside designers and programmers to develop animation systems that ensure a character feels alive and connected to the intended design. Oh no, my clicker. Hold on, here we go. So cinematic animators lean more towards movie-style animation, creating scenes that serve narrative and storytelling. They use a mixture of keyframe and motion capture data to put purposefully staged shots together. Animating to specific cameras, they work alongside the narrative team to ensure that their vision is brought to life. Technical animators, the true wizards of the animation field, they concentrate on the correct implementation of systems, providing a bridge between the creative and the technical. Their responsibilities can be quite varied, from rigging and tools development to engine implementation and ragdoll physics. My clicker. Okay, yeah. So I'm a gameplay animator. What I love about that is that you truly get to embody a character, considering them in every angle of every movement, ensuring every system connects seamlessly with the last, all whilst injecting personality into everything you possibly can. If you wanted to see my animation workflow process, I recorded an animation demo for a school a couple of years ago. I recorded my whole process from blocking through to polish and then sped it up by 2,000%. So if you're interested, there will be links to all at the end, but that's the title. On top of this, I also get to witness firsthand all the hard work that goes into making a game. There are so many different disciplines and ridiculously talented people that I get to work with every day. So just come and work in games. So my first project was a really cute game about a little dog dragon that you go on adventures with in VR. I was responsible for all the animation across the whole game, which was super daunting as a first project, especially as I had literally 0 experience in games. But we did it, we finished it, we were super happy with it, and it still hasn't been released. Unfortunately, it probably never will now, but that's just the way it goes sometimes. My most favorite project that I've worked on so far was a game called Destruction All Stars. It was a PS5 exclusive launch title. I had the most amazing time animating all these gorgeous characters, working with the most incredible team, and just learning so much. My first ever shipped title. That all sounds great, doesn't it? What's sad is this game launched in the middle of a pandemic, so no fun lunch parties for me. It launched as the PS5 first came out, so as people might remember, wasn't a great time to purchase a PS5. The shortage of PS5s meant that some of the team even couldn't play at launch. And on top of all that, it was an online multiplayer game, so as you can imagine, didn't go down so well. But like I said, it's still my favorite game development experience so far. Sure, it may not have been the most successful game, but I absolutely loved it, and it made me the animator that I am today. I worked for a short while on a game called Nightingale. We joined this project toward the end of development and took ownership over a handful of their creatures, which were really fun to animate. This was a co-development project, which means you work with another studio on a game that they're making. Ultimately, the other studio is the one making the decisions, and you're working with them as an extension of their team. And right now, I'm working on an incredibly cool project, but that's all that I can say. So this is tough, isn't it? Because in my 8 years, I've got a project that didn't get released, a project that didn't go down so well, a project that wasn't really my own and we joined near the end, and a project that I can't talk about. Which brings us to lesson number 1, arguably one of the biggest lessons and realities of working in games. You have to accept that at some point you have no control over what happens with a project, whether people will like it, whether people will even see it. You've got to separate your personal success from the game's success. Because a project is truly what you make of it. The lessons you've learned, the people you've worked with, the stories that you have. Sure, people may not recognize the game itself, but I've had the opportunity to give talks about our character creation process on Destruction All Stars, which I'm incredibly proud of, and I've gotten to share something with people that was truly a fantastic thing to be a part of. This also led me to speaking at GDC in San Francisco and to being an animation judge for BAFTA. What you have control of is you. Do your bit the best you can and be proud of that. So let's talk about different types of projects to expect when working in a game studio, which varies based on the studio. Original IP. A studio has come up with its own idea of a game and it's completely in their creative control. Third-party IP. A publisher has gone to a studio with an idea and pays them to make it. Co-development. A studio works with another studio to ship their game. And outsource. A studio creates assets for another studio's game with little to no input on the work they produce, largely in isolation to the development of the game. What I will say about co-development, as it does seem to be more and more common, is how great of an opportunity it is to work with external teams. Seeing how they do things, how they set their engines up, manage their pipelines, approach problems. And generally, it's quite fun to build rapport with people you probably wouldn't have otherwise met. I absolutely love getting to see other studios' rigs and working with their tool sets. It's a great chance to gain insight into other ways of working and essentially works as a knowledge share between studios. But wait a minute, how did I get a job doing any of this? Well, 12-ish years ago, I was starting to look at universities. Honestly, I had no idea what I wanted to do. All I knew was that I wanted to go to uni, I liked art, and I liked computers. That was literally it. I had no idea, well, no course in mind really. I just started looking at what courses were available. I considered things like graphic design, media, illustration, and after looking through those modules, I kept seeing the word animation stand out to me. The question I then asked myself was, what would I enjoy studying for 3 years? What would I find interesting? And my answer to that was, well, I wouldn't mind finding out how they made Shrek. And that is how I became an animator. My point is, you don't need to have your whole life planned out right now. It's okay to spend some time finding what you enjoy and what you really want to do with the rest of your life. Whatever it is you land on, whether it's what you study at uni or what you discover along the way, the bottom line is that we need jobs to make money and to fund our pets' lavish lifestyles. But no one said that had to be boring. Please, please pick something that genuinely interests you. It makes working every day a tiny bit easier. In game studios alone, there's like a million things you could do. Animation, of course, art, technical art, VFX, user interface, design, programming, production, QA, analytics, community and marketing, operations and human resources, finance. There's so many options that you may as well just go and work in games. So how do you actually get the job? Fundamentally, you want to be seen. And to do that, you need to put a little bit of effort into your applications. And what I mean by that is your application is going to be put in front of incredibly busy people. You'll only get a couple of minutes to impress. So it's worth making those minutes count. Cover letters. Not essential, no, but it's an opportunity to show that a bit of care and consideration has gone into your application. Whilst it's unrealistic to ask that you personally type out a heartfelt letter to each company you're applying to, I don't think it's unreasonable to mention a couple of games that studio has worked on, to show that you've at least looked into the company that you're applying to. A CV is an essential part of any discipline's application, although these aren't as relevant to graduates, as you typically won't have much, if any, relevant experience. CVs are a great place to show a bit of personality. I love when people include hobbies and personal interests, especially from an animator's perspective. If you say that you love to dance or you have a passion for parkour, it's just always going to be a plus. We will most likely interview. Things I don't want to see on a CV. Experience level of software. Please don't say that you're an expert of anything or rate your skill level on any kind of scale. It can be relevant to note the software that you are familiar with, but that's all we need to know. Irrelevant, personal details. Your age, relationship status, personal social media handles, the results of every GCSE you took. It's just not needed. And links that don't work. Please, please, please test those links before you send them out professionally. A show reel is a cherry-picked selection of your best work, a representation of your skill set and creativity and personality. This is your chance to make a lasting impression on your viewers. You want to stand out and you want to be memorable. So the most useful thing I could think to do here was to show a show reel that had me at the first animation. Charlotte literally starts next month too, so it's got a job.
From what I hear, God's a bit tetchy. Wiping out the human race. Big storm.
Straight away, the big thing that we loved about this was that they showed their reference. Not only does this show an understanding of the craft, but also shows their performance skills. Tons of personality, a bit of humor, really, really lovely show reel. So here's a few guidelines for your show reels. No more than 3 minutes long. Sensible music that complements your work. Start with your best and favorite clip. Clearly label and state responsibilities. Did you animate all the characters, just one character? Did you rig it? Was it only the facial animation that you did? Was it motion capture? Was it keyframe? And fundamentally, showcase your craft. No excessive camera cuts or fancy lighting is needed to show that you are a great animator. If possible, tailor your application to the position you're applying for. This may sound silly to say, but if you're applying for a gameplay role, show gameplay. It's not super useful to see a bunch of fancy cinematics and zero evidence that you've even thought about animation in games. It's not the end of the world if you can't tailor your application, but it does really show that you actually want the job if you show relevant examples. Oh, and there's a secret to game applications. Make a game. It doesn't have to be the next GTA, of course, but there's so many free tutorials out there these days that there's nothing stopping you showing us that you have a passion to make games. Please prepare for your interviews. Research the company. What games have they worked on? What genres do they specialize in? If they've given you the names of the interviewers, look them up. And I don't mean stalk their social media platforms, more like knowing kinds of things that they've worked on, how long they've worked at the company, and have questions ready to ask. All of these things show initiative and show that you have genuine interest in the role. It's a gesture that can really count in your favor. Things we like to see in your interviews: being on time, a friendly demeanor, polite, open, and honest answers, genuine interest in animation and in games, eagerness to learn, that your personality would be a good fit for the team, and that your communication skills are good. You can hold a conversation. Things we don't like to see in interviews: not being dressed appropriately, not being in an appropriate environment for an interview, being arrogant, rude, or insulting, coming across like you don't want to be there, avoiding questions or giving really generic answers, bad-mouthing other companies and/or people. So you've done it, you've got the job. What happens next? Your first day can be super daunting because you have no idea what to expect. So let's set some expectations. Will I be expected to animate big, complicated things straight away? As a junior, you should not be given anything you can't handle. Good teams will ramp you up gradually and in line with your skill set. Some teams may throw you in at the deep end. Juniors can sometimes be taken advantage of, so it's important to recognize this and highlight if you aren't comfortable or if you're struggling. Will I be expected to animate really quickly, and will I have deadlines immediately? The important thing to learn as a junior is that quicker doesn't equal better. Understanding the fundamentals of animation is where juniors should focus their efforts. You will get deadlines. How soon after your start date is dependent on the project demands, but being a junior should be reflected in your time restraints. Will I be expected to understand game engines? Whilst it's preferable that juniors have some understanding of what a game engine is and the basics of how to navigate within one, it isn't essential. If a core level of animation ability is demonstrated, we will teach our juniors everything they need to do their job, including but not limited to interaction with the engine. Also, it's worth pointing out that some studios work in Unreal, sure, but some don't. Some work in proprietary engines, which is impossible for you to know, so just chill. I think something people don't say enough is how hard this all is. There is so much pressure on you to make all these super important life decisions and do all these things that you've never ever done before. It's incredibly scary, and it feels so easy to make the wrong decision, but I think as long as you keep making a decision and moving forward, you'll figure it out as you go. I know plenty of people that did a bunch of stuff before they found out what their true calling was, so it's not always a linear path, and that is okay. The funny thing about being a junior is how most of the pressure we feel is internally created. The most amazing part about being a junior is that you have no responsibilities. I really wish that I had let myself enjoy that more. There really is nothing to be scared of. You deserve to be exactly where you are, and you're allowed to have no idea what you're doing. Absorb everything, get involved in as much as you can, ask dumb questions. They probably aren't as dumb as you think. Share your thoughts and opinions, take notes, record your screen when people show you how to do things. That way, you don't have to keep asking them when you immediately forget. And most importantly, enjoy it. I used to constantly belittle myself as a disclaimer to all the work I produced. And the best piece of advice I received in my first year, also in industry, was to flip the switch and acknowledge my own worth. It's not arrogant to have confidence in yourself. There's a line, of course, and having a massive ego is bad, but you're nowhere near that in saying, yes, I can do that, and truly believing that you can. Remember to take time to celebrate yourself for every win along the way. It's really easy to get swept up into thinking about the next thing you've got to accomplish, the next pay rise, the next job title, before really acknowledging how far you've come. And with that, celebrate each other too. I'm really tired of people seeing other people's success as a reason to feel bad in some way about themselves, and not just simply to be happy for that person. Thank you for listening. I made a QR code which has all the talks that I referenced, as well as places that you can reach me out on, so please do if you have any questions at all. And if you found anything that I've said useful, I wrote a book about all this. It's called The Pocket Mentor for Animators. My dog is clearly doing all the marketing and PR so far. It's a part of a Pocket Mentor series. Each book covers a different discipline, all with the aim to support people just like yourselves getting jobs doing something they love. I tried to cover as much as I could, from trying to fit into a new company, dealing with imposter syndrome and bad days, to animation tips and things to keep in mind when thinking about gameplay systems. So anyway, that's it from me. Thank you so much for listening. And if anybody has any questions, I'm here. Yes. I did not do a placement in the industry. No work experience. Who knows why they, no. You really, it's not an essential to get a job. Of course it's nice, but we all know how competitive it is to get a job, let alone to get an internship or a work experience placement. So definitely try and apply, but I didn't, and look at me, a robot. Yeah. Honestly, just be yourself. Sell yourself. Keep applying. Keep your head up. Stay strong. But honestly, like I said, make a game. Like, try and stand out, because, like I said, you know, lots of people are sending through showreels, applications. We see a lot of similar things. So if you can do anything to stand out, show a bit of your personality, something you enjoy, and make that into a game, just showing us that you genuinely want to make games and you have a passion to make games. It sounds simple, really, but you don't see a lot that are like specifically showing that passion. So if you do love games, just, you know, do that. And just, you know, do your best. It's all you can do. It's all my mom ever said that I should do. Yeah.
Hello. I was wondering, you said to like include both hand-keyed and mocap. Like, what would you say like a good ratio of hand-keyed to mocap on your showreel would hypothetically be for like a junior role?
It's not something that I would calculate, so I wouldn't worry about a ratio for how much mocap to keyframe. But we like when we don't often see mocap. It's not super common, so to show any that you have is a really good idea. But it is also great to see, obviously, keyframe. What we want to see is that you can animate, that you understand at least the basics of timing, spacing. You show a little bit of personality in the choices of performance. And then if you have motion capture, showing the original motion capture data and then what you've done to it side by side is good, because sometimes it's not clear what it was before to know if you've done anything better to it or made it worse. So if you're showing any mocap, I'd recommend doing that. And honestly, it's just whatever you want to show us. As long as you have examples of both, show it, yeah. But I wouldn't, don't get in your head about like balancing it. Just show what you really want to show.
Thank you.
Is it worth trying to learn multiple softwares like Maya and Blender, or would you say to specialize in just one?
So far, as an industry standard, Maya is what we use internally. It's what most studios use that we've worked with. Although I do think Blender, I think anything you use is quite transferable. Motion Builder is a good one to like kind of know as well if you have the opportunity to, but it's really not a be-all and end-all what software you use. It's often not even something that we really bring up. Often it's a question we get asked, and as long as you can animate, it kind of doesn't really matter what software you know or don't know. And whatever you don't know, we will teach you. I learned Motion Builder from my animation director, and that went fine, and I really like it now. So yeah, but Blender sounds cool. Like, I should probably give it a go.
Sorry, what'd you say? Sorry.
Blender sounds cool, and I should probably open it. I've been meaning to for the last, like, 5 years. But yes.
Thank you. Thank you.
Hiya. I was curious, in the industry, how many characters or assets are you generally assigned as one person on a project?
Characters. It really depends on the project. From an animator's perspective, where we can and we are able to, we like to give ownership over a character. So, for example, that cat girl with the pink helmet, she was predominantly my character. So gameplay and sort of her character select screen, I did all of that because we find as an animator, you work best if you have ownership over a character. That's mine, and I can make it whatever I want to make it. And seeing that through from beginning to end, we find animators really like. So we'll try and do that, but outside of that, it depends on just what animation needs to be done and how long you're on the project and stuff like that. You probably will. I had multiple on DAFs, for example. And then we had, a couple of creatures on Nightingale, and again, we had a creature each. So it kind of works like that. Outside of that, it is just dependent on the project. I can't really give numbers. Everybody wants numbers and ratios, I don't.
Okay, thank you.
Hi. What was the hardest thing to adjust to when you started working in the industry?
The hardest thing to adjust to, I think it was just working in an environment with professionals. I was the first hire for about 6 months before me, and then before that it was kind of just like a load of people that had known each other from 20 plus years of working in games. So I was sitting in a sea of people that really knew what they were doing, and I definitely had no idea what I was doing. And I had no friends. I'd moved there completely I knew my nan, obviously. Well, I don't know why I said obviously, you don't know my nan. But I didn't know anyone either, and I didn't have anyone to talk to, and it was really hard. The imposter syndrome was really hard because I just thought at any moment I was going to get fired. And I was the only animator as well at the beginning, so I didn't really have anybody to, I suppose, lean on. And then my animation director joined about 6 months after that, and then, well, actually a month after I started also, Nicola, a programmer, started, and we kind of bonded over not really knowing what was going on, and going for coffee and stuff like that, and that really helped because it was honestly just I just felt alone. That was the hardest bit. It wasn't even anything. I also felt like I couldn't animate, and I feel like I really don't think that I could, but I learned that, and I got friends. So I think it's just those first couple of months. You're like a fish out of water. It is scary, especially if you don't have anybody. But usually teams are bigger than that, and you'll have people to lean on. It's a big thing that I talk about all the time. Just find your people, and find people that you can rant to and cry to, and I was going to say moan again, but not moan, but and be excited with, and go for coffees with. That really does help because you'll find that everybody definitely feels like that at the beginning of the industry. So all those people that I was sitting by that I thought had it all together, I mean, even then, they'll claim that they don't as well. So nobody is as scary as they seem. And, you'll get through it, and then you'll figure out your groove, and you'll be a really cool game developer, and then it's fine. But yeah, so that was hard.
Thank you.
I have friends now, by the way, so we're good.
Anyone else for questions? All right then.
Cool. Does anybody come up here or? Thank you, everybody. I will leave now.